One of the eternal gifts, which is an eternal blessing. And I remember when I was prompted to start putting up videos, and I think in some of the first videos I said, you know what qualifiers and givens are, particularly as it relates to library builders of mathematical data or simply information, right? And so imagine this, if you could, that as a monad, you're self-generating, you're mononuclear. So you understand what all the elements are when you look at a periodic table. Units of consciousness, right? Like noble gases. So therefore, the elements are automatically going to work for you in the proper proportion in which they're programmed, in which to perform the work that they do, which is a math function. Which means I don't have to think about the elements. The elements naturally do what it is they're supposed to do because they program to function the way that they normally function, because you're running on the right Eka codes to experience eternal life, which means you're not experiencing any decay. That's zero. Okay, you see how that works? And I just got a distraction, but it reminded me, you're on airplane mode. Okay. I just went and did some work with the sun. Golden fire, you know, it's a gift. So what that means, you need oxygen, be self-generating. In other words, you're going to generate your O2. You need nitrogen, you're going to generate your own nitrogen. Okay? The other oxides, in other words, all the elements that represent the elements are naturally going to produce what it is that they produce in the proper proportion, and so that every waveform plasma wave of consciousness is experiencing itself, which is its cells, as a waveform is in perfect equal balance with all the others. Right? And so that means that you balanced out the mass to experience no mass. There's no weight. That means you're not experiencing any density, you're not experiencing any dimension. It's as if you just yourself, as a cell, as a state of consciousness, realize that I'm an individuated unit of consciousness. I'm experiencing eternal, pure, absolute love. So since that's the energy that I am, that I'm experiencing being what I am in energy, because that's what I'm aware of as being what love is. So therefore, I can create whatever I want to experience next, which is a completion of a magnetic circuit, so I'm always at zero. Therefore, if I'm at zero, I'm never experiencing any decay. I'm always experiencing eternity. So now we're back to my childhood when I realized I'm not supposed to experience anything less than what I am. But I realize I'm in a fallen system, which are fallen spirits. Right? Okay, so how long is this job going to take? But we're not alone. Right? In order to get back to zero. Zero is home. That's called home base. The first eternal spirit of fire, which is the purest love there is. Right? It doesn't get any purer than that. That's a firewall, which is the center point of a sphere, the center point of every cell wall, as in firewall. So that was the beauty in a video that I did, because what I do is I share what it is that I experience by virtue of what I've learned to become what it is that I am. Right? So then I share what I experience with others. So that's why the libraries are always changing on a very vast scale, because there's so much that is happening simultaneously of all the data, if you will, between what we think and what we feel, or the intention of our energy is to experience what we do next, right? As a result of why we're all here. Right? So certainly there's a gazillion bits and bytes of information that's flowing through all the servers to inform us of everything that's going on at any one moment of what? Now time. Right? And so I saw a little video that I cannot remember the identity of this person as a numerical lettered format. Medipack, I think. Medipack and a number. I put up a beautiful composite, visual mathematical display about elements, magnesium, potassium, the relationship that elements have with each other, as units of consciousness in spirit form. Right? That's why when you think about breathing in breatharian form, right, the very idea that I need any energy from another source outside of what I'm already self-generating was always foreign to me as a child, because then I'm held captive by that sequence, which means I can't do this myself, so I need somebody else that's doing it for me in order to experience what I'm experiencing that I'm held captive to in that particular realm, right? In other words, I'm not going to be able to get the energy I need because I need to pull apples off this tree. No, I don't need the apples. I'm actually the energy that is growing that apple. That's the inside, the inner and the outer world. In other words, I'm the first engine of creation. Therefore, everything that I need is already there for me to self-generate. That's called a self-generating platform. I already have everything that I need. I'm experiencing eternity. I'm experiencing eternal, pure, absolute life. So that we're breathing, the breathing space. We're breathing pure, eternal love energy as the energy that we use to experience what we do next, because that's a creator engine. So you know you're a co-creator. And you're in perfect alignment with the first spiral, which is the first Krystic code, which is a key that turns the engine on. Remember, Cape Canaveral, T minus, that's key. T minus, the input signal, the output signal, T minus 10. Oh, the 10 code, the zeros and the ones codes. Oh, the digital platform, digital manuscripts. Oh, I get it. Right? Remember the red and the black goo resin codes? You know what resin is, right? It's called a catalyst of self-organizing stuff. That's why it wasn't a coincidence when I was a kid in, when was that, Mama? 5th grade. It was written into my timeline to go learn about fiberglass. By learning how to fiberglass boats called California Boats. That was a company that I worked with. Actually, it was my schoolyard friend, whose name was Butch Pittard. His dad owned a boat place called California Boats in Newport Beach. So when I was in 5th grade, my friend, who was his father, owned the boat company. I could go down there and earn money on weekends and learn how to fiberglass boats. Right? Fiberglass, the resin, the catalyst. Oh, yeah. And where else did I see that? A few years down the road. And what was the name of that movie? The Dinosaur Park movie? Eurasia. What was the name of that movie with dinosaurs? With the Tyrannosaur Rexes and all that, remember? I think it was filmed in Costa Rica. Some of it, I believe, was filmed in home base, Cayuions. Yeah, and so anyway, thank you for putting that up. That's very true. That's very true. That's why when I got back to San Francisco, and here I am all by myself in a Ford Explorer, and most of my quadrants, my lower battery packs, were severely damaged. It was all black and blue, and I was having really severe miasma lung congestion when I was on that island, and I had to clear all that crap out of there, and was very blessed to be able to do that in 3 days. It took me about 3 days to clear it and get in other words, self-repair. All right, that's called self-repair. And it's natural that it would work that way, don't you think? Right? I mean, if you yourself had the ability to put together a genetic assembly, a software, and you were going to do that for your children, would you not want your own children to be able to run around in a vehicle that lasts forever? You take it wherever you want to go. Because you're a forever spirit, which is forever energy, which is pure creation energy, being fused with the first spirit, which is the first eternal Krystic star. Now you're experiencing what love is wherever you go. That's pure freedom, which is a pure spirit, which is born free. Now you're not held captive by another programmer. trying to hold your energy captive so you're experiencing what they program instead of what you're programming. So the first programming language allows you to be a free spirit because those codes are in alignment with the first programmer. Right? And that allows you to know future results, which means your light is always on. Your spirit is always lit up. You're always on fire. You can see the fire in both eyes, right? With one eye, you're one eye. One pole. Yep. Self-generating powerhouse. So that you're always in love and service forever and always. That's us. That's what we do. And that's the greatest honor that I know. There's no greater honor than I know to be in service to others. You know, because you want everybody to do well. You want everybody to thrive. You want to have everybody to be in a state of love and joy, which means I'm not experiencing any turbulence as a result of we all know what. Right? And so I'm an inner child. I lit my inner child on fire. So I'm a child of light. I'm like a little child, right? Happy and joyful. That's why when you see me, I may look like, how old is this guy? And he looks like a male. I'm still the spirit that I was when I was 4 years of age. Where's this kid getting all of his energy? He's on fire. He's on fire to learn. He's on fire to create. He loves to play music. He loves to do a gazillion different things at once. Right? Changing hats all the time, which is called adaptability. As a matter of fact, there is a dark side to that. Oh, yes, there is. When they can collect all the data on you by graphing it and recording it, and now they got access to all that information because it's all been recorded, they will use that data in their own software development, but for different purposes. Remember Neo in the conversation with Neo and Mr. Smith? There must be some purpose, Neo. There must be some function. There's got to be some reason or meaning why we're here, why I know you, Neo. And we seem to have a strange connection with each other, like you're the first software programmer, the first software engine, or the first software engineer, the first code, the first key that turned the engine on. Light my fire. Remember the doors? Into DorA, door 1, B1. Right? So this is how I rearrange the deck charts, by finding different creative ways in which to express what it is that I've learned that's different from the last, because I don't express myself the same way in everything that I experience. You can actually test yourself on that. Just like a lot of times when I'll put text in Windows, then all of a sudden I'll go back and notice, hey, there's two of the same thing. So how did I know to go back there to notice that? Because I'm faster than it is. You're able to write into your own timeline faster than it can. See, so that means you're always ahead of the curve than this system is. Right? We log in and out of here. That's why a lot of times, just as an example, it will ask me, we don't recognize you. Log back in again. Oh, now we recognize who you are. Right? So, and that's a gift. Right? Holding energy captive is a crime. It's against the law of one. Right? Why is that? If love is the law and we live in a free will universe like a unicycle, this is basic logic. The first spirit, remember all roads, they used to say all roads lead back to Rome. All roads lead back to the first volcano, which is the first spirit of fire. So it stands to reason that the eternal spirit of fire is always free to create. Okay, so that's the first creator, the grand creator, Kryst. Kryst is always free. She's not ever held captive by anything. That's eternity. So that's eternal love, which is always on fire to create something new that's never happened before. That's the nature of the way that engine operates, and I know that because that's the engine that I operate, which is creative mode. which is C space mode, which is C3 space mode, right? And so the gift of love, which is pure love, is you're always free. Because love does no harm. And that means that one spirit never has to use its energy to worry about you, or be concerned about you, or track you, or surveil you. Right? Because you're always on fire. And since you're always at zero, you can't be detected. Because the spirit that is represented by what you are is an eternal spirit of fire. So you're always free to create something next, because whatever that next is going to be eternal life anyway. Right? And so that's the gift of the cosmos, is to experience and learning how to become one. And that is a speed ratio index. It's like I was mentioning to Jamie this afternoon, because he asked me a question. How did he put it? About learning speed. Okay. Well, this is the way that I measured it. From the time I came in and I had this up and running at 4 years of age. What I realized by around, I think, 7 or 8 years ago, can a spirit, and I gave him the example of Misha, who had 3 personalities, you know, the red and the black goo cube codes. Can somebody recover their template, redeem themselves, recover their template in 1 generation? And the answer to that question is yes, they can. You know how I know that? Because I did it. And if I can do it, you can do it. So when you think of time-space vectors of speed, and this is particularly true when you get into formations of consciousness. And Ashiana did make mention about if you come from a particular line of software development with units of consciousness that represent a network as a formation, because they're all linked and they're all aligned with each other, like green dragons, red dragons, blue dragons, et cetera, right? Units of consciousness that are all networked together because they're running the same lines of communication, which is the language that they use to communicate with through antennas. Okay? And so as that relates, she made mention that, well, what if you get 30% of that group that decides to jump their pirate ship and decide that they want to go align themselves with this other formation? Because this other formation is represented by rainbow gyrodomes, because they want to change the reality, and they're working together to heal themselves and speed that process up by recoding their templates. I think I want to be with these folks because I know, because I'm intelligent enough to figure out that they got this right. I want to be with them. And then she mentioned retaliation, all right? Because that means that's less energy, consciousness energy, in the way that atmospheric pressure-sensitive mathematical language is experienced as it relates to codes of communication. They just lost some of their own. And for them, that would be as if, what is the Corleone family? This guy that's up on the internet now who's making a bundle of money. I think his name is Michael Francisi, something like that. And he talked about, yeah, we're capos. And he said, I'm a captain. I was a captain. I was a made man. And then I realized when he was saying capos, the reason they meant capo is copper top batteries. So you knew those are known as the blue bloods. So if blue bloods choose to align, say, with a different mob or a different family or a different bloodline, different polarities, then they're losing a certain amount of time-space vectored energy that's now going to begin to experience a different formation upon which they can heal by recoding that template if their template is salvageable. And I know that templates that other people walk away from and say they're not salvaged by them, that's not true. And that's why I shared the example of Misha. Because I realized that what I was experiencing with her, being in her house on Oahu and Haleiwa, she was experiencing what I experienced, which is zero. If she didn't have the ability to experience zero and remember that and bawl like a little girl, that's her inner child. that means I'm able to light her inner child on fire. Because I was experiencing the fire in her, which is the fire that is in me, she was experiencing in her. That's right. So that means that a Neo knows how to light the child on fire. Because I lit my child, my inner URTHA child on fire. Yeah. Have a beautiful day.